What's up, Corporate Misfits? Brittany Darrington here, and welcome to episode 17 of the Corporate Misfit podcast. I'm so excited about today's feature for the Confessions of a Corporate Misfit. We're talking to Elisabeth Jackson, and she's sharing all about how she left her 9-to-5 to start her own business. Elisabeth is the founder of the Afro Coach, and she started her first business at the age of 12. She knew then how to start selling in a saturated market with zero audience. Fast forward 16 years later, she has now built 2 thriving online services, making her first 10K in the first 3 months of business, all with an audience fewer than 2,500 people across her social media and email list. Now at the Afro Coach, she has made it her mission to teach women how to do the same thing. Get ready, because the next voice you're going to hear is from Elisabeth Jackson.
You're listening to the Corporate Misfit podcast with Brittany Darrington, where female entrepreneurs can get powerful tips and advice on how to start, launch, and grow their business.
Elisabeth, thank you so much for joining me on the Corporate Misfit podcast. I'm so excited to have you and learn more about how you became a corporate misfit.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So Elisabeth, I love your story because it's kind of similar to my own story on how I became a corporate misfit. I know that you were an analyst and then you decided to leave your 9-to-5, and like most companies in the very beginning stages, you get excited, you're planning for everything. You're like, okay, this is going to be it. You invest a ton of money, a ton of time. And then sometimes that idea or that business does not work out. And I know you invested about $3,000 to $3,500 worth of money into your first coaching business. And you're like, what the heck? It flopped. What do I do? So can you walk us through how did you leave your analyst job regarding that process? I know it was giving you exciting and overwhelmed, but can you tell me how you left that and then how you decided that you were going to start your own business?
Absolutely. And it's so funny that you say like everybody goes through this check as well, where we get so excited thinking like, this is the thing, this is going to be like that job that finally we're not going to feel uncomfortable in. And I think that's the big thing there, is that when you are a corporate misfit and when you know you're meant to do something else, you always feel just slightly off. I like to reference it as if you're in the Matrix and you're just aware of it. And you're just like, why is everyone else totally fine with this? And I'm the only one that feels weird. So I felt like that with every single 9-to-5, including this analyst job that eventually turned into a project management job. And I realized that I just wasn't meant to be in this 9-to-5 world. Like it had nothing to do with the job, because I had been in multiple 9-to-5s. It was just me. So what I had to do was get myself out of an employee mindset and get myself into an employer mindset. And that was really how I set myself up to get out of my 9-to-5. I had decided, like, you know what, I'm tired of playing in the kiddie sandbox. Like, I'm ready to move to the big kids table. And I got myself that my first business coach, which is where that $3,500 investment went. I just took a leap of faith, really. I can't really say there was a process on how I picked her. The only thing was that I'd been following her for a while, and she was the first person to make me realize that it was okay to not feel comfortable in a 9-to-5. It just meant that my talents lied somewhere else. So I started that first coaching business while in my 9-to-5. I hadn't left quite yet. And like you said, completely flopped. Like, I think I got 2 clients and I was just like, wait, this isn't what was supposed to happen.
Where were they?
Oh yeah, exactly. I was just like, where are they? And that honestly made it really terrifying to leave my 9-to-5, just because I was thinking, maybe I'm making a mistake. Maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe it's just, I need a little bit more time to actually feel the right fit with my 9-to-5. But that wasn't the case at all. Really what it was is that I was so terrified of actually selling and promoting how good of a coach I was. I wasn't actually selling myself to these clients. And so, yeah, I'm not going to obviously get any clients if I'm not selling. So I did that first flop. I realized like what my problem was, and I changed my direction alongside changing my mindset, realizing that this was just not working because I had some beliefs that I had to knock down in order to actually move forward. Pivoted over to a different coaching business, ended up actually getting the clients I needed, getting the funds that I needed, and was able to actually leave my job probably what's the month? It's November. So
I'm like,
I left.
I don't even know what month I'm in. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
yes,
was like, what
November.
month are we in? It doesn't help when you're in a different time zone too. Like being in Australia completely throws me off. But I left my job at the end of September and then moved to Australia literally 2 weeks later.
Wow. And where did you move from?
I moved from Seattle.
Oh, wow. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. That is so awesome.
Hmm.
Okay. So I love first off what you said. You had to go from the employee mindset to the entrepreneur mindset, because a lot of people sometimes don't really realize there's a shift in mindset that has to take place. Because if you
Hmm.
take the employee mindset into your business, what will happen is you'll most likely go back to that 9 to 5. So
Exactly.
what was that like? What were some of the steps that you took to really kind of change your mindset and shift that from employee to employer and
Absolutely.
entrepreneur?
Yeah. And I think the biggest shift was realizing that the only person I had to get permission from was myself. In
Mm.
a 9 to 5, like one of the biggest things is you're always asking for permission
Mhm.
from your manager, from the owner, whomever that may be. You're always asking someone else if it's okay to do something. And when it's your own business, the only person you have to ask is you. And that's something that actually is a bigger shift from a mindset standpoint than most people think. You think, oh, of course, like I'll just do it. But you don't realize that you are carrying a safety net in an
Mm.
employee mindset. You're just saying like, well, I can't sell yet because I don't have, for example, enough followers on social media. And according to so-and-so, I have to have at least this many people. You're always seeking more permission from someone else instead of actually seeking permission from yourself. And
Ooh,
that's
that's
what
good.
I really had to learn was I don't have to ask anybody else. I don't have to look outward for an answer. I just have to sit down, shut up, and actually listen to what I am saying. And that was when I saw the most success in my business, is when I stopped trying to ask my coach or ask whomever on Instagram, or even like go to different articles on Google. Like I just stopped
Mhm.
and said, what would be really fun
Mm.
for me to be able to teach my clients? And when I actually asked myself that and moved forward with whatever that thought was, that was when I saw the most success.
Wow. I really love that, because you're right. What usually happens is we want permission from all these people, and that can really hold you back from getting to your level of success. Because when you're waiting for permission from every single person, then most likely you're going to be waiting a long time, and it's
Yeah.
going to just keep you from actually even starting.
Exactly. And even to add to that, Brittany, what I think what another big thing, especially I think with women who I work with, is that when we come from a 9 to 5, like we're also in that mindset of just like, okay, like it's not okay for us to just do whatever we want. Like we
Yeah.
think that there's someone else like, okay, well, if we just do it, someone's going to get mad. And we're very emotional beings. And so we're people who are constantly thinking about the other person. Like, well, what is this person going to think if I do this thing? And when you're an entrepreneur, like you're a badass. Like you don't
Yeah.
need to ask other people like what you do in your business. And when you can let go of that, when you can let go of this shame of, oh my gosh, I'm just doing my thing and not caring what other people think, then you open yourself up to so many other opportunities to actually letting in all of the amazing income that is going to be coming to your business.
Oh, I love that. And that's very true, because it's like when you just open up and you allow yourself to do you, you allow the creativity, you allow yourself to really just get comfortable in your skin and do it well.
Mhm.
Love that.
Exactly.
Now, when you left your 9 to 5, how long did it take for you to start generating revenue and being able to quit your 9 to 5 so you could do it full time?
Whew, yeah, that was fun.
Because that's the thing
So
a lot of people worry about. They're like, I really want to start my 9 to 5, but I want to leave my 9 to 5, but I have to obviously replace my income first and be able to pay myself, so then I don't put myself out there and have to go back to the 9 to 5. So
exactly. And that's the fear, right? Like, I think that was one of the biggest things that stopped me from leaving my 9 to 5. Cause I'm like, the moment I leave, I have to rely on myself. And I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to make my money back. And so honestly, that kept me in my 9 to 5 a little bit longer than I could have actually, when I could have actually left, excuse me. For me, I had wrote down in December of 2017 that I would leave my job by the end of 2018.
wow.
And I wrote that down every single day for that year. So I will say it took me 12 months or 11 to 12 months to leave my job. I could have left my job probably 6, 7 months in. But it was that fear of the moment I leave, then the consistent income goes. Even though I had all the revenue, like I had enough saved up, I had enough income coming in, it was still this security blanket of just, but this is consistent income. I know every 2 weeks I'm getting this amount, and like that keeps me safe. And because I was staying safe, I stayed in longer than I meant to. But for people who are listening, if you have the consistent revenue that you're seeing, if you are seeing more clients coming in and you see more income coming in from your business as opposed to your job, leave. Don't do what I did.
Stay as long as you can. Yeah.
Just stay in as long as you can. For me personally, like it was also a visa thing because I was in the process of moving to Australia. So I wanted to make sure everything was fine. But I know a lot of people that I work with will wait and say, well, it's, like, at least I know I'm getting a consistent income here. I'm like, yeah, but you're not happy. So that consistent income is also bringing in consistent unhappiness. Well, and the longer you stay there, it's go ahead.
I was going to say too, whenever you stay at a job and you're trying to get your business up and going, and if you have already replaced your income, unless obviously if you have debt and things like that, I totally get it. But if you are able to replace your income and you now are able to live off of that, it then allows you to just free yourself up and being able to focus on that and birth that baby and give it all the love and attention and everything that it needs in order for it to grow properly. So.
Yes, and I love that analogy of just birthing your business baby. Like, just have the baby. Like, don't hold on to it longer than you need to. It'll just cause you more stress. But for me, like I was saying, just 6 to 7 months was probably how long it took me before I would have been able to move along if it wasn't for visa stuff and me just holding on to a security blanket I no longer needed.
I love that. 6 to 7 months, I think, is so reasonable. I know it took me about 6 months to get out of my job. And like you, I was so scared. I was like, oh, what about my health benefits? Like my family comes from education. So they're like, first of all, what are you going to do? And why are you going to do this? And how? Yeah. And so having that stage of like, okay, no, there's a paycheck coming every 2 weeks. I have health benefits. I'm able to do all these different things. Like if I leave this, what happens if I go out there and I don't succeed? So yeah. Now, what did you do when you decided to leave full time? Did you have like a plan, or did you have like some sort of strategy in place on how you were going to make this work and go for it full time?
You know what? In all honesty, I did not. I had an outline. I had an idea of, okay, so I have 3 steps that I need to do in order to make this thing work. Show up consistently as myself to my ideal client, make something that they need, sell it. That was my only plan. And really it can be as simple as that. Of course, like there's a whole bunch of mindset shifts that have to go through because you're thinking, wait, that can't possibly be it. There must be a concrete plan here that makes everything work. And I was constantly searching for it until I realized like going back to our first point, like I was looking outward for an inner problem. Like the thing was I needed to show up and stand out as myself so that people could find me. Then once I had an idea of like what exactly their problem was, I could align with what my talents were, make something that would work for them, and then sell it. And that was just my strategy moving forward, and it's worked so far. So
and you're all about keeping it simple. So I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because that's
keep it simple. 3 steps.
Keep it simple. Now, when you decided that, okay, this is what I'm going to do, this is the type of coaching that I'm going to go into, how did you know who your ideal customer was and where to find them?
Ooh, great question. For me, the type of coaching that I do, I realized I haven't said it on the interview, is I do business coaching and mindset coaching. If you guys couldn't guess from all the mindset talk that I'm going into. But so for me, with business coaching, what I would do is I would look back in my journey into creating my businesses, and I would go back and thinking how I felt, what I was going through, because usually when in coaching, you want to be helping people who were where you're at get to where you are. So my ideal client was essentially me 6 months ago, or me even a year ago. So that became really easy for me to get in tune with what my ideal clients were feeling because I felt all those things. Yes. So that was what made that a little bit easier, is I knew where people were coming from. And so then I also knew where to look. I knew that they were looking on Google, because like you're searching every single article on entrepreneur.com, Forbes.com, trying to find like the magic sauce to make your business work. They were on YouTube. They're now showing up on Instagram, just because there's a lot of coaches on Instagram, Pinterest. They were basically looking any and anywhere for searching and doing research, because that's what we do as like ambitious women. We research to try and figure out how to get things done in order for us to make this business work. So then I started showing up there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to write articles. I haven't gotten YouTube yet, but eventually I'll get to YouTube. I'll show up on Instagram. Like I'll show up on Pinterest. So I would show up there and just start completely just triggering them to saying, hey, I know what you're doing here. I was here too. You're doing it wrong. Let me show you what you're supposed to actually do. And it's just worked that way, because I'm able to understand them and be able to speak to their language because I was there.
I love that. Now, do you have a specific platform that you choose to hang out on the most for social media?
Right now, it's Instagram for me,
Okay.
just because thankfully Instagram's been doing a lot of different updates. So I can do videos there, I can do stories, and it's just easier to be able to make all my content there and then outsource it to any other platforms that I want.
I love that. Yeah. And it's true, because a lot of people, sometimes they feel like in the very beginning stages, they need to be on every platform. I was talking to one of our corporate misfits yesterday in a vision board party, and she's like, I need to be on every platform. I'm like, no, you don't need to be on every platform, but you can, but have one that is like your main primary goal, and you just master that. And then you just send out the content to the other places if you choose. But having that one main platform is so powerful, because it allows you to really just master the skill of that platform and
exactly.
And do it well.
And now, also, why make it harder for yourself? Keep it simple. Like stick to one, and then eventually move out to the others once you start like gaining an audience.
Now, when you decided that, okay, I'm going to work with this clientele, I know where to find them, how did you kind of identify like how many people you wanted to take on? Because sometimes people will try to take on as many clients as possible so they can make as much money, but then sometimes it's not reasonable. So what did you do in your process of how you were going to take on customers, and how many, if you even have that limit?
Yeah. And I do have a limit. Usually when I'm working with one-on-ones, that is a lot of time, and that is a lot of energy, and me understanding their story, where they're at, and being able to help them on their journey specifically. So for my one-on-ones, I usually take on only 5. I learned my lesson early on, like don't take on any more than 5. I was taking on like 10, 12, just trying to like get as much money as I could. And I was actually selling lower because I wanted to get more people in. And I thought, of course, if I'm working with people, that means that obviously I'm this amazing coach because more people are working with me. That's not the case at all. But in fact, all it was doing was just draining me of my energy. I was trying to keep up with everybody. I was over delivering on a low priced offer, and it was just burning me out. I was like, there's no way I can do this. And it made me want to quit, to be honest, because I was just like, I'm scatterbrained. Like I'm dreaming of my clients' problems. Like this is a serious issue. And it became like a mental health issue as well, which I think is a big thing that a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize can actually happen to them. Like burnout is real, like overworking is very real. And so I had to learn, like, you know what, stick to 5, price higher because I'm worth that much. Don't price low just because you want more people, and actually give myself like the actual time and energy into that I need so that I can actually pour out into these 5 individuals. So I learned really quickly, burnout is bad.
Oh yeah, it really is. And Elisabeth, did you also identify too, like when you changed your prices, did you identify like maybe like a change of quality in your customers?
Absolutely. Like one of the greatest things about pricing, like it's not just coming from like I'm going to price higher because I want more money. That's not the case at all. Pricing is a gateway for clientele. Like it is almost a filter to make sure that the people who you want to work with are of the highest quality of people who are going to do the work, who are going to show up so that they can get the results that they want, because it's them getting the results, not you as the coach. And because you are pricing higher to say, look, if you're going to put this down, it means you're making a commitment to yourself and to me, then you get the higher quality clients who are like, yep, I'm going to do it. And it made my life so much easier.
Yeah. And they actually want to put in the work. Cause I noticed like sometimes what happens in the very beginning stages, like you mentioned, as entrepreneurs, we get really desperate. We're like, we need to make money. We need to bring in something so I can quit my 9 to 5. And what usually happens sometimes is we'll start pricing ourselves really low. Well, I mean, like just crazy prices. Like you can join my club or you can join this for free for a year. And you're like, what? So, what advice would you give to someone who might be pricing their stuff extremely low in the very beginning because they're just, really seeking new people and new blood into their business? What advice would you give to that new entrepreneur so they don't experience burnout or get to that place to where they're like, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things, the biggest advice that I would give is that recognize your worth, recognize how worthy that you are and how valued you are and how your information and your expertise is valued for so many up and coming entrepreneurs, like people who are beginning their fitness journey, whatever it may be that you're coaching, and recognize that they need you to help them keep that commitment. They can't do that if you're pricing super low, that they're not even thinking about the investment that they made. If you're pricing, like, great example, I had a fitness coach who was pricing, I don't know, $97 for coaching. I don't know about you, but if I put in a $97 and I'm making 50, 60, 70K, I don't think about it. It's just a blip in my bank account. I'm just like, okay. And then you just kind of forget about what it is that you were doing. You don't fully show up because you weren't putting that much skin in the game. You as a coach, it is your obligation to help these people get the transformation, hold them accountable to the transformation that they want. They can't do that unless they have skin in the game, AKA your price.
I agree.
So price what you're worth, make them see that they have to make a commitment because they're making an investment in themselves and committing themselves to actually getting this transformation that they want. So help them get that transformation, price what you're worth.
I love that. And that's so true. You have to price what you're worth, and you have to sit down and do that discovery time of what do I believe myself to be valued at? And how do I price this accordingly? And what life do I want to live? How much do I want to work? All of that. So did you know exactly, because this is something that a lot of entrepreneurs, they usually want freedom, but what happens is they start their business and they go into working 100 hours a week, 55 hours a week, all of that. Did you kind of have an idea of the life that you wanted to design and how many hours a week you would like to work? And are you currently doing that now?
Yeah. And I think what terrified me is I wasn't working 100 hours a week. That actually just freaked me out. Usually I am working at most 2-3 hours a day in my business directly. And when I first went into full-time entrepreneurship, because of course, while I was building this, 2-3 hours felt like the longest time ever because you're just off of a 9 to 5 and then you're working into the night on your own stuff. But once you have your own time, I was just like, wait, am I supposed to be working more? I'm not spending enough time in my business. And so I would actually seek out opportunities to work harder in my business. But all that did was, again, lead to burnout. Something that has completely revolutionized and transformed how I work in my business is, and of course, I'm sure a lot of people have read about this, is a 4-hour work week. But just being able just to recognize that, you know what, working smarter is so much easier than working harder. And that's actually where my system came from, of Keep It Simple, Sis, or KISS, where it's just you optimize your systems so that you can be efficient in what you're doing in your business, so that you can actually have that freedom that you craved in your 9 to 5. Stop trying to put yourself back into a trap of making a 9 to 5 out of your business, because that's not why you started a business. You started a business because you wanted that freedom, so you can hang out with your family, hang out with your friends, hang out with your significant other, travel, whatever it was that spurred you on to start your business. Don't cage yourself so that you can no longer enjoy those things. That's not why you started this. So optimize, be efficient, realize it's okay to spend only 2-3 hours a day on your business, and spend the rest of your time really filling up your soul and filling yourself up so that you can pour yourself 100% into your business in those 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, I love that. And that's really cool that you're only working 2 to 3 hours, because that's something that, again, a lot of entrepreneurs are seeking and wanting. And then when they are doing that, they can create their own, I call it business prison, where you all of a sudden leave something that you weren't enjoying, and then you create that same exact thing in your life because you don't know what to do with more free time if you choose to have that. So I think that's so
Exactly.
powerful. How do you handle productivity in your company? Do you use some sort of system, or do you do time blocking, or what do you have in place to really help you manage the hours that you do work every day, or
Mhm.
when you do work?
Yeah, so the power of Google Calendar.
Yeah.
I try and block things out to where I'm like, okay, from this time to this time, I'm answering client calls. I'm getting on lives because I do a daily live in my personal Facebook group.
Wow.
Like I've been challenging myself to do daily lives in my personal Facebook group
Mhm.
or private Facebook group. Personal, private, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And all the way through the end of November.
Mhm.
And so just blocking out time saying, okay, no matter what, you're doing this, doing
Mhm.
client calls. This is all things that is going to be towards generating leads and building relationships. And then I have time where I'm actually working with my clients one-on-one. And then the rest of the time is content generation. Usually I take like 1 to 2 days to batch my content so
Mhm.
that I'm not scrambling to write content being, oh my gosh, I haven't showed up for 5 days. I have to write something. And then that just comes from a desperate place of
Yeah.
like, I need to write something. And it's very obvious that I just wrote this because I knew I had to show up in some way. So I just batch it all, and I have my Instagram manager take care of that. So really relying on my team
Mhm.
to help make sure that things are running from an operations standpoint, me taking the time to just work and show up for clients, and then taking the rest of that time to just really do things that help lift my spirit up so that I'm not constantly getting fatigued.
Yeah, I love this. I can talk about mindset like literally all day because I'm always like, what can you do to really get your energy up, keep it up, all of that kind of stuff. I love that. Now, I know you mentioned your team. So that is something that a lot of people either want or they're like so nervous to move forward with. So they're either afraid to delegate or they are wanting to delegate, but they just don't have the resources yet, or they feel like they don't have the right amount of income or making enough money in their business to delegate and get that team. So
Mhm.
how long did it take for you to get a team and be able to work with them? And then also, how is that process for you with delegating and being able to work with others on your team?
Yeah. So I feel you on the delegation issues for people who are listening. I am a control freak, and I know this. I'm a recovering
Me
control freak.
too.
Yeah. So and again, just the joys of being a driven entrepreneurial woman. Like we love controlling everything because we're like, no, we're going to do it right, and the only way it can be done right is if I do it.
Mhm.
And for me, that was such a huge thing because I didn't know if I delegated it out, if they'd be able to like answer questions the way that I would, if they'd be able to, like with my Instagram manager in particular, be able to comment back like sounding like me. I'm like, no, that feels kind of weird because like they want to talk to me and it's not me.
Mm.
So it was a lot of things dealing with, I want to make sure I show up authentically, but I also want to make sure that my energy is in the right place and I can't be everywhere at once.
No.
For people who either have delegation issues or you're saying you don't have the income at this time, know that you can start small. Like you don't have to like come out like guns blazing, be like, okay, I'm going to get a 15-person team and do this. Like that's not the case at all. I started with one person, and that was somebody running my Instagram because I was like, I can't. Instagram's too much for me right now.
Mhm.
And then you move on to the accountant. Then you move on to like a VA. Being able to start small
Mhm.
and really gather a team of people that you can trust, like start them off with things small and then slowly be able to like give them other things and start to realize that the less you do from an operational standpoint gives you so much more energy to create, because in your
Yeah.
business, and I love this analogy, is that you are not a cog in your business, you're the creator.
Mm.
So create, that is your
Love
job.
that.
Like you have other people who you bring onto your team to
Mhm.
actually make the business run, but you yourself are the person that is the brains of it. You're the person that is orchestrating all of it. And you can't do that if you're also trying to be a cog. Like you can't be at both places at once.
I
So
so agree.
like that's just what you have to do. And if you are from a place you're like, no, well, I'd love to get a team, but I don't quite have the money just yet, the power of Fiverr.com and
Oh,
Upwork.
I love Fiverr and Upwork.
They are amazing, and you find reasonably priced people. Like and I'm not just speaking just from a person who's worked with freelancers there. I used to be a freelancer on there, and I freelance from time to time for people that need help. So being on both sides of the process has really helped me because I know how it works from both sides.
Yeah.
And then also apps like the
Mhm.
power of dubsado.com. Oh my God, like that has
Love
completely
that.
transformed it, just because it's like even if you're not quite ready to like delve into your first VA, there are definitely apps out there that you can utilize to help you optimize your time without having to do everything yourself.
I love this because I think that's something that we get stuck on of like, I have to do it on my own. No one understands. I'm by myself doing this, so I can't build my company to this next level. But like you said, Fiverr and all the other resources are really there to help you get your business up and going and get it started. Like I found my marketing guy through Fiverr. And I know I like am totally breaking the rules for even saying this out loud, but like 4 years ago, I found my graphic designer and I loved him. I was like, you're amazing. Well, you're not supposed to share like emails, I guess, but I was like, what is your email? And he like gave it to me. I was like, hold on, let's talk. Let's see if this would be a good fit. Let's have you come on. Let's have you do some projects. And 4 years later, we have been working together ever since on graphics and whatnot. So I love it. And you can find such great resources from graphic design to someone to do your copywriting, someone being your virtual assistant. I mean, like there's just so much amazing stuff that you can find on there that can help you. And if you can't do it, I don't know if you've ever done this, but I know originally I did some trades. Like I was really great at doing public relations. And I was like, oh, well, I can help you on the marketing and public relations side of things. If you can do this for me, can we do a trade? Yeah. Did you ever do any trades or anything?
I did. Yeah. It wasn't something that I did a lot of just because again, like I was like, oh, I used to work on Upwork. Let's see if there's someone on Upwork. But trades are so amazing, especially when you're first starting out, because not only are you getting some help in your business, you're building relationships with other people. And I think something that isn't also not talked about with entrepreneurship is that entrepreneurship can be really lonely. It can be really trying when you feel like nobody else understands what you're going through, which is why you feel you have to do everything by yourself. When you start doing trades and you start to know the other people in your industry, it helps so much because you know this person's going through exactly what you're going through, and you can build relationships that way.
Oh, I love that. Now, how do you stay connected with a community or other individuals that might be like-minded? Like, what do you do to stay connected and not stay in that entrepreneurial lonely stage that sometimes we fall into?
Yeah, I had to join a mastermind. I just am a part of the most amazing mastermind with the most beautiful, like fantastic entrepreneurial women who just are exactly in the same space that I am. Like they go through the same pitfalls as me, like they go through the same triumphs as me. And so we get to lift each other up and support each other no matter what. Like the last time that we met, we were in San Francisco while I was still in the US, and we're trying to figure out ways that they can get over here in Australia. But it's just being able to, like, you guys could just like come to me. Like, it's a beautiful place here. It's summer. I know you all want to come here, but just being able though to find a group of people of like-minded people where everyone is going through the same types of things, it makes you feel so much more normal. And I think that's all that we really want, is to feel normal and realize, oh, everything that I'm doing and everything that I'm going through, I'm not the only one going through it. Like, I'm not some weirdo who just like didn't do this thing right. Everybody goes through this, which means everybody finds a way out. And you can't really know that if you're doing this by yourself.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, that is the thing. Sometimes we feel like, okay, we're the only ones who are crazy to want to leave our corporate jobs and go and start our own thing. But the truth behind it is that there are so many other individuals who are doing the same thing. You just have to learn how to connect with them and find that community. So I love that you're part of masterminds, because it's not only just a community, but it's also a community that challenges you, that holds you accountable, and one that also you can go and cry on their shoulder if you need to, or make that phone call and ask those questions. So it allows you to gain a friend, but also grow within your business. I love that.
Exactly.
Now, what I was going to ask you too about your mindset, like for Mindset Rise. I'm like, I don't know why I just got so tongue tied. But
you're fine.
for mindset, what practices do you put in place to help you start your day off with success, or manage your day and get through the day and really get the things that you want done accomplished?
Yeah. So first thing, and I'm still recovering from this, is the first thing I do when I wake up is not look at my phone, because usually it's filled with notifications. And the last thing that I want to do when I wake up and start my day is to be inundated with everything from the outside world. That's not what I mean from the beginning. I try and start with a guided meditation, or at least praying. I'm a huge believer in God and believing that like he is our best business partner. And so being able to just start my day and saying, okay, God, what am I supposed to do today?
Yes.
Where am I supposed to go today? And journal it out, just write it out, what my intentions are, what I'm grateful for, what I hope to create or accomplish today, depending on where I'm at with my business. If I'm in a business launching, what do I want to get done in this launch? If I'm just in like in between phases, what do I want to create for my clients? And then usually around like 9 or 10 this time, then I'll look at my phone, just be like, okay, I'll look in there and see if I can find it. That's usually what I do. If there is, I'm currently in the middle of co-coaching with actually another coach. And so I check it a little bit earlier because I'm also helping her with coaching like 35 other people. And so want to make sure that I get to them since I'm in a different time zone. So usually I'll start a little bit earlier with that. But if I'm not co-coaching, I try and wait a little bit later to look at my phone. And then for the rest of the day, it's just answering calls, getting what I need to get done. Because since I've set those intentions of what I want to accomplish for the day, it makes it really easy to actually just knock them all out so that I can spend the rest of the day enjoying whatever it is that I'm doing.
I love that. And that makes it easy for you to just know exactly where it is you're going for the day. Like I always tell people, if you have no idea what your plan is for that specific day, I don't know how you're going to accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish. And then you start making a long to-do list. You start adding like 90 things on the list and you're like, what am I going to do?
Yeah. And if you actually, sorry.
No,
I keep
ahead.
trying to cut you off.
No.
My bad. But also like for people who may just be like, well, that's well and dandy for you, Elisabeth, but how do we do that? Because we can't just stop looking at our phones until like we wake up. Something that I do as far as when I was first starting out is pick just one thing. Pick one thing that you say, you know what, no matter what, I'm getting this thing done today in my business. And then everything else is just icing on the cake. Yeah. If you can commit yourself to just doing that one thing in the day, you're going to feel so accomplished, because instead of having 90 things on your list and you're like, I only got through like 40 of these things. Oh my gosh, I'm a horrible entrepreneur. If you get through that one thing, you're like, cool, I did it. What's the next thing? You feel accomplished. And then maybe the next day you can add 2 things and then maybe 3 things. Like you'll be able to get through things and feel more accomplished and getting that thing done, and also feel like you actually fulfilled your commitment to actually doing things in your business, as opposed to getting so paralyzed. There's so much things on my list, you don't end up doing anything at all. Absolutely. So start with the one thing and then make the rest of your day about fun things.
And those quick wins, those quick successes really help you to stay motivated and really encourage you for the next day too. I found like when I see myself actually accomplish what I had planned, and maybe it's that one big thing and I'm like, I got it done though. I got it done. It's finished. It's complete. I feel good. And then I want to, try something new the next day. So it's awesome how that small thing can actually set you up for success, and also have you, create that high energy within your business and within your mindset. So I love that. Now, you did a lot of changes when you left your 9 to 5. You not only quit and you started a business, but you also moved. What was your support system like with this whole process?
I was incredibly blessed to have the one thing that did not change in my life, which was a really strong support system within my friends and family, and also my boyfriend who lives in Australia. So thankfully everything was set up here.
That's awesome.
So thankfully that was all taken care of. But honestly, I could not have gotten through all the changes that I was going through if it wasn't for friends who came over to help me move early in the morning, my family who housed me for a couple weeks. And then even though they were both going through surgeries at the time, they still were able to support me and make sure that I felt like I was making the right choice. Because Lord knows, like throughout all these changes, I was like, am I making the right choice here? Are you sure this is what you wanted me to do? So I was really grateful to have people who were there to pick me up, even though I was feeling kind of at my lowest point, just because I felt very stretched then. And I had people to help support me and cover all my bases when there were things that I may not have been able to remember, when I couldn't go out and like hang out with people as much as I wanted to, even though I was leaving the country. They were all very sweet and very accommodating to come to me and help support me when I needed it.
Oh, that's so awesome, because that's what so many of us sometimes are missing in the entrepreneurial factor, that support system. And so you have to go out and almost like search for a support system through the masterminds or through a community or things like that. But having that family support and that friendship, that really helps you get through, especially the major transition that you went through, is so powerful. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Now, a lot of entrepreneurs are always trying to figure out, like, how do I leave my 9 to 5? How do I start and build my own empire? And how do I get to do the things that I have always dreamed of? What advice would you give to that female entrepreneur who's looking to leave their 9 to 5 and start their own business?
So I would say, first off, like, acknowledge your talents, acknowledge what you are really good at and what you are passionate about, and start doing research on what people are needing help with in your arena. Because all it starts with, guys, like really what entrepreneurship is, and especially in the coaching realm, is we are providing a solution to a problem that currently exists for several hundred thousands of people. Doesn't matter how many coaches are out there, doesn't matter how many entrepreneurs are out there, there was always somebody who needs you and your unique story in order to transform themselves and get to the life that they want. So start there, start with your talents, acknowledge like what you are good at and what people like constantly are asking you about for feedback, for advice, whatever that might be. Like, see what that problem is, and then just start creating solutions for it, whether it's through free content, whether it's through lives, no matter what it is, like just insert yourself into that industry and start providing solutions. And then once you start gathering like a whole bunch of people just like, wow, she actually knows what she's doing, then create an offer. Like, it's as simple as those 3 steps I talked about earlier. Because once you can get into that system of authentically showing up and providing solutions, clients will come, you'll get the income that you want. And then like, it can even be sooner than 6 months. Like, my coach was able to leave in 3. Like, you can generate that income in order to leave your 9 to 5, but you got to start now by acknowledging what you're good at and what you're worth, and that recognizing that what you can provide, somebody needs.
Oh, I love that. And it's true. Solving a problem is, I think if you can identify what the problem is and then finding a way to solve that problem, it just creates a market for what it is that you're doing. When you're not solving a problem, that's when you're like, okay, are people going to buy this? And then you're scrambling to get customers and you're trying to figure this whole thing out, whatever it may be. But solving a problem always helps and allows you to connect with someone in this world.
Yeah.
Now, what is your favorite part about being an entrepreneur?
Ooh, I think it's that I was actually going to say something else and I realized that's actually not what I was going to say. But I was going to say, I get to live in Australia, but that's not the case. You can do that whether you're an entrepreneur or not. But I think what it is, honestly, like, I get so hyped when my clients get it. Like, when you see the metaphorical light bulb just go off in their head and they go forth, and you're just like, let the force be with you, and they're so good, and you're just like, yes, they have made it to being like they are one with the force. But I'm sorry, I make a lot of Star Wars references.
No, I love it.
They just, once they get it and they recognize like, oh, I have all this potential and it is all available to me, all I gotta do is take it. And you're like, yes, that is all you have to do. And when my clients get it, that's when I feel good, because it means that as a coach, like, I was able to guide them to this point where they recognize that any and everything that they want can be theirs. Wow. So whenever I'm helping people, like, that's when I feel at my most like highest form, where I'm just like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm like trying not to get choked up about it, but it's one of the things that just in my very core DNA, like, this is what makes me happy, is when I see other people feel supported and feel loved and actually like see the potential that they have, that I've seen the entire time, and they just like were filled with so much like limiting beliefs and BS and like all this stuff of why they couldn't do it. I'm just sitting there saying, no, you can. And they actually wake up and realize, oh, I can. So that's my favorite part, is being able to see clients just light up and start doing the things that I knew they always could do.
I love that. And being able to see that transformation, I know that that's just so powerful, because again, like you said, it just allows you to know that you're doing what you're called to do. And then on top of that too, like, being able to make a change. I always tell people, using your using your business as a vehicle to make a change, whether that's through a product or service or through coaching, however you choose to use that business vehicle, it's like so powerful when you see someone's life change because of what you did. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today and share with us how you became a corporate misfit and built your coaching business and really doing what it is that you were called to do and being able to experience that happiness and fulfillment within. I love it because I feel it from you, and I'm so excited to just watch that. Your energy is so amazing. Can you tell us how we can stay in touch with you?
Absolutely. If you haven't gotten it, I love Instagram. So you can find me on Instagram. It's really easy to find me. It's at Elisabeth Jackson. You can also find me at my website, The Afro Coach. You'll see very quickly why I'm called The Afro Coach. I got a big fro.
I love
And if you'd like to just connect with me a little bit more, I do have my private Facebook group, The Limitless Entrepreneur Collective, which is just a whole bunch of really rad ladies. We just come together and just chat about business, build each other up, and just figure out how we can all leave our 9-to-5s so that we can build an empire we love.
Thank you again, Elisabeth, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast.
If you've enjoyed today's episode of the Corporate Misfit Podcast, we invite you to check out the Corporate Misfit Club. The Corporate Misfit Club is the essential resource for female entrepreneurs who are looking to start or grow a business they actually love. Whether you are a seasoned entrepreneur in your startup phase or simply thinking about taking the leap into entrepreneurship, we've got your back, girl. With our extensive course library, monthly training, exclusive members-only discount perks, and unlimited tools. We also have a supportive community of women where our members share stories, experiences, their wins, and business tips. The Corporate Misfit Club is the perfect place to be to start, launch, or grow a business. So check it out at corporatemisfitclub.com.